All right, welcome to The Explainer. Today, we are jumping right into the deep end of Indian YouTube to break down an absolutely legendary roast. We're talking about Carrie Minotti, and he's taking on a reality show so wild, you just have to see it to believe it. This is a masterclass in how TV that's so bad can be so good. So, Carrie Minotti opens his roast with this absolute gem of a line. I mean, it just perfectly sets the tone, right? It tells you everything you need to know about the show's completely over-the-top, nonsensical vibe. This is basically our first big hint that things are about to get crazy. Okay, here's how we're going to break this down. We're going to follow Carrie Minotti's whole strategy here, looking at 5 main things. First, the absolutely chaotic setup of the show itself. Then, the unbelievable stories the guests tell. After that, we'll get into his whole argument that it's all fake, his takedown of the host's so-called justice, and finally, the big reveal, what he thinks the show is actually for. All right, first things first. What is the show that got Carrie Minotti's attention in the first place? Let's dive into the absolute chaos of what's known as Bowsley's Court. So the premise seems pretty straightforward, right? You've got people bringing their messiest, most dramatic personal problems onto a TV show. And the host, this guy, Hindustani Bao, is supposed to solve everything and deliver his unique brand of justice. But yeah, as you're about to see, that justice is, well, anything but simple. And boom, right out of the gate, Carrie Minotti just nails the fundamental flaw here. The problems people bring to the show are so insane, so over the top, that a logical solution is basically impossible. With just this one question, he kind of shows you that the entire concept of the show is broken from the very start. Okay, now let's get to the real meat of it, the part that's just pure comedic gold. The stories these guests tell. And believe me, these aren't just your standard dramatic tales. We're talking full-blown, unbelievable soap opera plots. So the first case Carrie Minotti just digs right into, it's about a guy who finds out his own father is trying to hit on his girlfriend. I mean, come on, you can tell right away this show is all about maximum shock value. But here's the thing. Carrie Minotti doesn't give the guy any sympathy. Nope, he roasts him for being like a postman, just delivering the love letter instead of, confronting anyone. He really hones in on how absurd it is that the guest is so passive in his own drama. And you think that's wild? Oh, the stories only get stranger from here. The next one is this bizarre love square. It's a situation where a woman is dating multiple guys, and they all seem to know about each other. It's just total chaos. And what's even funnier is that the show makes up its own vocabulary to describe these insane situations, almost to make them sound normal. Carrie Minotti absolutely loses it over the term boyfriend-in-law. It's like the perfect comedic label for something so completely ridiculous. And from that point on, the plots just completely spiral out of control. We're talking about this incredibly complicated web of cheating that involves students, teachers, a boyfriend's father, even a mother gets thrown in the mix. It just gets more and more tangled. This is where Carrie Minotti comes up with a brilliant analogy. He compares the whole mess to playing the old video game Snake. Where you keep adding to the chain until it gets so long and tangled you inevitably run into yourself and lose. It's a perfect way to describe these plots that are basically designed to self-destruct. So after laying out all this craziness, Carrie Minotti makes his big move. He gets to his main point, which is, none of this is real. He completely shifts gears from just making fun of the stories to accusing the entire show of being a scripted fake. And he doesn't just say it, he brings receipts. First, he argues the guests have to be actors because the stories are just too crazy. He even spots a crew member who apparently sells tea on set, now disguised as a guest. And here's the best part of his theory. The host, Basu, is the only one who thinks it's real. That's why he's always interrupting the actors. He doesn't know their script. He even shows you moments from the show that he says are proof. You can literally see the guests, the actors, breaking character and starting to laugh whenever the host interrupts them and goes off script. For Carrie, this is the smoking gun. This is what proves the whole thing is an act. But he's not done yet. The roast doesn't just stop with the fake stories and bad acting. Next, Carrie Minotti sets his sights on the man himself, the host. And let me tell you, his version of justice is a whole other story. So a huge focus of the roast becomes this host's completely split personality. It's like a real Jekyll and Hyde situation. One second, he's this calm, fatherly figure protecting everyone. And the next, He's on his feet, screaming and threatening the guests. It's this wild, unpredictable switch that makes him such a bizarre character to watch. And here's the biggest irony, which Carrie Minotti points out. After all that screaming, all that high-stakes drama, nothing actually gets solved. There's no conclusion. The justice is just a bunch of yelling, and nobody leaves with a real solution to their supposed problem. Okay, so let's recap. The stories are fake, the acting is questionable, and the host doesn't actually solve anything. This leads Carrie Minotti to ask the big question. What is the actual purpose of this show? And his answer is pretty brilliant. He says, look, as a show about solving problems, it's a complete failure. But it's a massive success at two other things. Number one, it's a great source of employment for actors. And number two, it accidentally produces some of the funniest, most unintentional comedy you'll ever see. And this is how he wraps it all up, with just a perfect, biting piece of sarcasm. He totally flips the narrative. He thanks the host for providing jobs in a time of high unemployment. It's not a bad reality show, it's a public service. It's just a hilarious and clever way to end the roast. But he's not quite done. He takes it one step further and involves his audience. He sets this goal of 4 million likes on his video, basically asking his viewers to act as a jury and agree with his verdict. It's a really smart way to make everyone watching feel like they're part of the takedown. And all of this really leaves us with a final thought to chew on. You know, in today's world, where so much content feels scripted and polished, maybe the most entertaining reality TV is the stuff that's so fake, it becomes unintentionally hilarious. Maybe the best comedy is the kind that doesn't even know it's a joke. What do you think?